Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Williams. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is, at Egberto Williams. Let us engage. It is politics done right.
1, 2, 3.
Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto Williams, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. I tell you what, it's tough, it's hard, but today we have an important subject to talk to you about, and it has to do with something that I did on the website, or rather on the Facebook page yesterday, where I queried women. You know, I wanted to make sure that women are the ones that are going to tell me if I am wrong or I am right. And, you know, this time around, I guess I didn't get slapped down this time around because they agreed with the tenets of what I put out there. If you see me looking away, it's because I am kind of getting this stuff posted along the place. This is why we need a producer, a copywriter, and all of that. And we can't do that until we increase our numbers and the levels of our subscription. But you know what? Remember, we are working on a whole lot of other things. Politics Done Right in Espanol. I just spoke to my should I say, the next host in Panama a few minutes ago, and she is working hard to really get things up and running. So, you know, all of this takes some involvement. All of this take all of involvement, because if we're going, you know, right now you're hearing stories about Nicaragua, you're hearing stories about Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, and all those people that are coming over here, and you're wondering, hey, how much of what we are hearing is actually true? You know what? All we have is what we hear from the current reporters out there. I'm going to tell you a little story. If you go to YouTube and you see what Blumenthal interviewed Chavez, and by the way, we're not into the program yet. I just wanted to start telling you about these little issues here, and then we're going to get into the program. So what I will ask you to do is stay with me, because we have a very interesting program. I do want you to stay with me, because we are going to talk some issues that not only the women's issue as far as electability, but a lot more. And I'd like your participation as well, whether that participation be inside on the internet or on calling in directly. But what we need is vivid, brisk participation. That is how we're going to make the change. I mean, there's something that one of the guys out here wrote on my page that I thought was prescient when we talk about democracy. Is America a democracy, or should we be having a democracy? And he sat back and, you know, well, I tell you what, I'll talk to you about that in a little bit. Let me go ahead and make sure that we get all these things here posted. And as soon as I do all of that, we'll get into the show in earnest. But the tenet of the show is title of the show is America already proved it would elect a woman. And people say, really? You mean, are we Panama? Are we Argentina? Are we the Great Britain? Are we Alemania? That's Germany. Are we? No, we're not. Those are other countries that elected women. Are we Ethiopia? Oh, you mean Ethiopia? That country that many Americans like to consider backwards elected a woman, and these macho men did it? Is that even a possibility? So we're going to kind of talk a little bit about that, because Americans have fears. I hear so many people tell me, oh, we can't elect a woman, you know, we can't do that because we're a patriarchal society. You know what? They're right. We are a patriarchal society by choice. The thing about it is we kind of have interesting ways of being, right? Because supposedly we are the bastion of the liberation movement, and somehow we are still patriarchal. Does that make any sense? I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever, and I am almost done doing that. Voila, estamos listo para comenzar el programa. Okay, America already proved it would elect a woman. Gender must not enter our equation. Subtitle, too many Americans. Subtitle, too many Americans think, right? Too many Americans fear a woman. They also fear a real progressive as the Democratic nominee. In fact, we had a prominent Democrat go on TV and say, well, if we elect a one of those liberals, you know, somebody like Warren or Bernie Sanders or whatever, we are not, I will actually go vote for Bernie Sanders. And I played that video for you guys a few months ago, I think. And I think you've kind of found it interesting that someone would have the gall to say that, oh yeah, you guys go ahead and elect her. We'll then just go ahead and re-elect Donald Trump. Anyway, it's high time that we stop buying into the narrative that a woman cannot win the U.S. presidency. A woman already has won the American presidency. It is imperative that a progressive is elected to run against Donald Trump. That is not a question. It is imperative. If we really want to win, we cannot send some milquetoast guy. If we want to win, we have to win. And we win by telling folks two things we win by. Calling out the evil that the leaders of the Democratic Party, of the Republican Party has become. Notice that I'm talking to the leaders of the Republican Party. I will not hit up on the others right now, because what we have to work with, my friends, what we have to work with is the people. It's the leadership that is screwed. It is the leadership that's creating all these issues. Anyhow, so Trump won the Electoral College partly on a progressive message. Okay? He won the Electoral College on a progressive message. A lot of people say, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Well, if you take a look at how he campaigned on giving people much more, better health care. He campaigned on all those issues that are progressive. So we have to be cognizant of that. We have to realize what is occurring there. Okay? Now, as it turns out, Trump won the Electoral College partly on a progressive message. In several blogs at Daily Kos, many of us stated as much. Many of us stated as much. So, you have to ask yourself, so why is the Democratic Party thinking that they could run a centrist to somehow beat Trump? How could they ever believe that? But you know what? I think they want Biden in case people, the establishment, I always talk about the establishment Republican Party, establishment Democratic Party, all in one the same. Now, they guard the different side of the rails, but they all stand up for the plutocracy. They all stand up for the wealthy. They all stand up for the rich, right? So what are they doing? What exactly are they doing? Biden is the backstop for Donald Trump. Yeah, we want Biden to win because it's a respectable guy, but he's still a neoliberal. He's still going to come out and not support policies that are really, really middle-class centric policies. So that's why they really want to push him. But they just may have to settle for Elizabeth Warren. But when they talk about Elizabeth Warren, they want to put a fear in you, right? America won't elect a woman. Well, they already did elect a woman. They elected who? They elected Hillary Clinton by 3 million votes or more. They elected her. So you're going to say, well, Egberto, in our country, that's not how it works. We have something called the Electoral College. Yes, we have the Electoral College. But let me tell you something, because I want to read my good friend. He's going to balk when I say good friend, because he makes sure all the time I say that to tell folks, you're no friend of mine. You're a communist. I'm not. But he likes to, I guess that gives him flavor. But here's what he said. Somebody wrote, and I wanted to, I thought this thread is more important than many would see. And it looks like I have to go to the main page to show you that thread. Because I want to show you the privilege, not only the privilege, what people have a tendency to think it is okay to say, right? Let's go ahead and pull up what he had to say, because it is prescient. It is prescient. All right. I said a woman has already won the U.S. presidency. We do not need a male savior. And the reason I even brought this stuff into gender is because a lot of people are thinking that way. Oh, a woman can't win. So a friend of mine, another right-winger, Percy, replied and says, actually, the Constitution of the United States is an integral part of this constitutional republic. The U.S. Constitution didn't fail because I said the United States Constitution failed by allowing Trump to win, even though 3 million more people wanted somebody else. So he's telling me now, no, the Constitution did not fail. How great is it? We have still survived 3 years of lies, a Russian hoax, and an attempt by the DOJ to first prevent a fair election and then to change the results of an election. We're on the verge of seeing just how bad the DNC and DOJ were. You know, he's bought the Kool-Aid. My friend has bought the Kool-Aid. So I said, no. We started the game with agreed upon rules. I said, no, the Constitution failed at democracy. One person, one vote. We now have minority rule in this country. This is not debatable, so stop it. That's what I told Percy. And of course, Mr. Ledoux had to bring his part in. You know, he's a constitutionalist, so he says, no, we started the game with agreed upon rules. Now you want to argue after y'all lost. Pathetic. Don't like it? Change the Constitution. But you sound like a whiny bitch crying that you lost and wanting to change the rules after the game. Oh, wow, I just love that. You know, he thought he had me there, right? Because, yes, he's right. My friend is right. We have rules. We definitely have rules, and the rules are called, the rules are a part of the Constitution. So he thinks he's right. But he's wrong. Here's my answer to him. Oh, before that he said, oh, and America was not formed as a true democracy, so stop trying to argue that it was. And you know what? The brother is right again. America was never formed as a true democracy. It was formed as a constitutional republic where majority doesn't necessarily rule. He's right. But this is where we, the people, come in. I replied, we started no game and was not privy of its making by a very few. It was imposed. Now we intend to make it fair for all. Here's what I'm talking about, people. Everybody you hear now, the corporations do. The Republicans do. Some Democrats do. Say what? Oh, we need to follow the Constitution. That's the law of our land, and they're right. It's the law of the land. But here's the kicker, people. This great law of the land, this great Constitution of ours, was not created by the people. It was created by a few. It was imposed by a few. So anybody who tries to make you look belittled because you said, I don't particularly like the Constitution. I mean, the Constitution does not reflect much of who we are. The Constitution does not reflect who we even really are. It does not. Okay? So anybody wants to be going out there saying, oh, I'm a strict constitutionalist and I want to. Remember, the Constitution was a whole small group of landowners that got out there and wrote it up, and then they've had fights with other people in several states, and they came up with agreements, and all these guys, a small number of them having nothing to do with the population, asking no questions of the population, asking nothing, no plebiscite, nada, niet. They decided that this is what the Constitution of the United States was going to be. And then they decided to make a change in this Constitution was going to require all these big difficulties to do it. And even at those times they had those difficulties to do it, very few people could vote. That Constitution was not written for women. That Constitution was not written for black people. That Constitution was not written for white people without property. So don't you ever, my brothers and my sisters, I mean all of you, don't ever allow them to use the Constitution as a hammer on you that's saying you cannot do this to a corporation because it's unconstitutional. You cannot do this because it's unconstitutional. Because that Constitution was created to maintain the power of a few with the semblance of democracy for others. Remember that. Before anybody tells you anything and keeps saying how constitutionalist they are and how the Second Amendment has to be immaculate and all of that, remember that. We are all fighting a constitution that was created by a very few, an elite few that cared not a damn thing about you. You would have been, most of us in American society today, irrespective of ethnicity, race, or religion or anything, are nobodies relevant to that Constitution. And until we understand that intrinsically, we don't have power. When you are educated, when you understand how this creation, and by the way, I want to talk to my brothers and sisters that are immigrants, because a lot of us, you know, I'm an immigrant myself, originally from Panama. A lot of people say, oh, well, who the hell are you to come over to our country and tell us what to do? Well, you came over here, killed off all the Indians, brought my people over to this hemisphere, brought the Chinese over to this hemisphere, brought all these folks over here to build this great country. I'll be damned if I don't feel 100% American, 100% entitled to all that this country has to offer, 100% entitled to have to pay the taxes to support this country. Every immigrant that comes over here that is able to get over here, every immigrant that come over here, that is, and caller, I'm coming to you in a second, that is able to get over here, and I kind of have a hunch who that is. So what I'm going to do before I go into the women's portion is I'm going to take this call because I have a hunch this is my good friend, my right-wing gun-touting constitutionalist. I bet this is who it is. So my brother from Skype, come on in.
My man, in addition to being all but an out-and-out communist, you are a psychic.
Aha! Who am I speaking to?
You're speaking
this
to
is
Larry,
Larry.
sir.
Larry, my brother Larry.
Yes.
Let me bring you in
Yes,
correctly,
sir.
brother. Larry is my right-wing gun-touting Second Amendment brother, and I love him, but he's going to disagree with me. Talk to me.
I'm not going to disagree. In fact, I'm going to compliment you on the fact that you are in the open. And one thing we forward artillery observers used to love was to see the enemy in the open so we could fire for effect on them and really do them a job. You, sir, have openly declared your hostility to the Constitution.
Yes, sir.
And now that that is clear, we can really have a discussion about it.
Thank you, my brother.
And I would submit to you that since you have, in fact, declared hostility to the Constitution by saying it was not inclusive of certain peoples, which admittedly it was not, you neglected to mention the fact that the delegates to the Constitution were chosen mostly by vote in the respective colonies when they were sent to the Constitution.
Only
Convention. So you had that democratic,
my dear brother,
democratic element there.
My dear brother, I studied in Panama. The good thing about other countries around the world, my dear brother, is that we have to study the history of all the major countries around the world. So whereas we had Panamanian history, we also had to have American history. So you are correct that the delegates were voted upon by the people who had land who could vote. Continue.
Sir, well, no, sir. Property did not mean land. It simply meant that you had the means to provide a living. So if you were a saddle maker and you had the tools to provide a living for yourself as a saddle maker or as a blacksmith, that would count in most of the colonies as proof of being eligible to vote.
If you were not
it wasn't
black.
just real estate. It wasn't just real estate.
If you were not black, my brother, if you were not black, if you were not an indentured servant, if you were not, don't let me go and enumerate them, my brother, but continue, sir.
All right. Well, so I mean, I appreciate the way you're attempting to distort the history, but I think we need to put a precise face on it.
Sure.
Okay, so we can get a better context.
Yes,
no,
sir.
it wasn't the way it is today, where illegal aliens can vote in many places. No, it wasn't that way, but it was far from the portrait you were trying to paint.
Sir?
Now let's go on with the idea. Let's go specifically to this idea that we need to elect a real progressive.
Yes, we do.
I suppose a real progressive in mind would actually be a communist. That a progressive actually means that they're a progressive.
No, sir.
Now, look, let me put this to you in context for me.
Yes.
What this obsession with identity politics and elections means to you folks on the left.
Yes, tell me.
Take Barack Obama
Tell
or
me.
Kamala Harris
Tell me.
or Elizabeth Warren or any of their ilk. Please take any of them. Please take them.
Yes.
If it means the only people of color and of gender are progressives like them, then as far as I'm concerned, we don't ever need to have a black elected as president or a woman. On the other hand, if the only people who are people of color who can be elected as president are people like Alan Keyes or Margaret Thatcher or Tammy Bruce even, and she's a lesbian, then I'd say let's have nothing but women and people of color. You see, for me, ideas, character, integrity, and belief and philosophy is infinitely more important
Larry.
than the incidental thing, immutable characteristic of skin color or reproductive organs.
Larry, guess what? For you, Larry, you are, let me tell you, you come off like a, and I know a lot of my listeners are listening to you right now, and they're like, oh my God, this guy is nuts, or this guy is wild, or whatever. But you know, I actually believe what you just said. I believe that's who you are.
Well, I believe it absolutely. I don't care who does it.
But no, but stop.
Look, I'm not here.
Hey,
I'm not here to tell
brother,
people what to
hold
think.
on.
I'm just here to tell people what I
brother,
think.
I gave you the whole time to talk, so now listen to me. I believe you. But you know something? Let me explain identity politics to you. I believe in identity politics. And those people, you know, it's not cool to say you believe in identity politics because the right has really distorted what identity politics really is. Identity politics takes into a reality that different identities had different problems in this country. Black people had a particular set of problems with redlining, which has reduced their totality of wealth over time. That is, you know, we have lost as a black folks in the aggregate, not individually, in the aggregate, because of the loss of property in the beginning and not the accumulation of wealth in the beginning. They have other issues that need to be taken care of because your line, the line of folks that don't come from slavery, had the opportunity to amass wealth. Black people did not. When we talk about Latinos, people that were moved over the border after having lived there all their lives, their land was stolen. That's another identity. When we talk about the natives were thrown on reservations on a land that they roamed free. They don't believe in land ownership because they don't believe that you can own something that was always there and not conquered. So they have a different identity, and that identity has different repercussions. So when you talk about not liking identity politics, what you're saying is you don't like all the problems, all the issues that those separate identities have that you didn't have and that they didn't have in between each other. So identity politics, until we become a real culturally homogeneous nation, is definitely required, my brother. Continue. The floor is yours. Are you there? Larry? I guess Larry left. But I'm pretty sure Larry will be back. I mean, he didn't hang the phone up, so he must be muted or something. So let's continue with the program. I just had to get that out for Brother Larry. Larry, I'm going to put you on hold until you get your mic situation taken care of, or until you hang up. If you want to talk, hit 1 to move the signal off, and then hit 1 again so that I know that you want to come back. Okay, folks, anyhow. So where do we go right now? I go to the point where I say, do you know what time it is?
It's time for the weekly blog post.
Okay, the weekly blog post is actually, for those of you who follow my page or my wall, it sort of is a permutation of what was on my wall. What I'm going to try to do right now, and Larry, if you're still here, I'll come back to you after I read the blog here. Anyway, so let me get to what I did is I placed that blog on. I'll come back to you in a second, guy. So here it goes. The title of the blog that I gave, and it was based on what I placed on my website, and it says, "A woman has already won the U.S. presidency. We do not need a male savior." I'm coming back to you in a second, Larry. And here's the blog. I was very happy with most of the responses to a Facebook post I made after receiving IMs from two women that shocked me. I think we need to remind people of what really occurred with a woman, Hillary Clinton in 2016. And for all of you who know me, I am not a Hillary Clinton fan per se, but I'm also not a Hillary Clinton flamer. I don't hate Hillary Clinton. I do think Hillary Clinton is a neoliberal. All of that is true, but I still think Hillary Clinton is a good person. I still think she's a good person. But I am not a Hillary Clinton. I was a Bernie Sanders delegate in Philadelphia. And I went there and I watched all the permutations that occurred with the planning of the platform. So here is what the Facebook post said. "Women, do you agree?" For 2 days in a row. For 2 days in a row, two different women told me to stop it. They want me to stop maligning Biden. I am not. I'm just asking us to accept nothing at face value. They both said, and to be frank, I have heard it before, that a woman cannot win in America. Well, hell, Ethiopia just elected a woman. Panama, the UK, Germany, India, Pakistan, New Zealand, Argentina, Grenada, and a myriad of other countries that are much more patriarchal than ours have already done so. And guess what? So has America. Hillary should rightfully be the president of the United States, as she beat Trump not by a few, but by millions of votes. Unfortunately, the Constitution is written for this exact purpose. The Electoral College failed America. I repeat, the Electoral College failed America. There are tons more people who want progressive policies than do want conservative policies. Punto final. Esto está perfecto. Ya sabemos eso. We know that for a fact. Now, the thing is, Hillary won with a decidedly progressive platform. I watched some of the tough negotiations when I was in Philly after the march. Before the march, actually, I think it was. She lost the Electoral College by a total of 78,000 votes because Milwaukee, Detroit, and Pittsburgh were not nurtured, as Michael Moore pointed out. We already did it and can do it again. No male survivor is needed. Or no male savior, not survivor. No male savior is needed. If a male emerges as the best candidate, so be it. The Bernie Sanders, which, you know, again, I'm sort of partial to Bernie. If he makes it, perfect. Now, my other candidate is Elizabeth Warren. Make it perfect. Elizabeth Warren has policy better than anybody else, male, female, or anything right now. I mean, she has what it takes right now. Elizabeth Warren does. Okay? Now, sorry about that. No male savior is needed. Right now. Come on, guys. Stop that. Right now, in my humble opinion, there are only two candidates with policies bold enough, including how to pay for it, to start the restoration of the middle class, and one is a woman. Let's get past the fallacies and fears that are skewing the polls. Okay? And Larry, even Elizabeth Warren's policies would make it much better for your life, I can almost guarantee. These women know a woman can be president. Following are some of the responses that we should be happy to see. Bernice Moore said, Iceland just elected a young female prime minister. Shadi Bowden Tucker said, Europeans can accept a woman leader because callers, I'm coming to you in a second, because they have had successful and powerful queens. Judy Scholtai says, no, I don't agree. Biden was a good vice president, but 2020, just no. Linda Guffin says, no, I do not agree with the women you speak with. They have a patriarchal hangover. As far as I am concerned, I am for Elizabeth Warren all the way. Lacey G. Hartog says, besides the whole Biden is Republican light, there is the fact Elizabeth Warren will damn sure campaign in the Rust Belt that Hillary Clinton ignored. The only reason Biden was brought on the ticket with Obama to begin with was to appease the hawks on foreign policy. Then we have Susan Phipps, who says, how great can America really be if many countries have elected women? We should be ashamed. Yes, we should be. Melissa Noble says, with no respect to Biden, he is just an easy out, a compromise only just to have a false sense to win when there are other good and better candidates and seasoned well. Don't let the women impose their insecurities and conditioned thinking. If this country by this time is so stupid and selfish to vote for Trump, then so be it. It's all karmic. If he loses and gets indicted, what do you think he will do? Leave the country maybe alone? And hers was much longer. I don't want to finish it because that was the guts of what she said. Biden is likable, except in his gaffes. A woman with big ideas should beat him. Now, Kathleen and Jackie show a keen understanding of the purpose of primaries. The establishment and the mainstream media wants Democrats to tiptoe around the candidate they want to emerge. So they see the scam right up front. Kathleen says, I don't understand what people like those women think a primary is for. There is no rule, written or unwritten, that a person needs to just cheerlead for their preferred candidate and to not critique other candidates. In my experience, the sentiment seems to be coming primarily from Biden supporters. Curious, my question to them is, if Biden cannot withstand the scrutiny of a primary without losing support, how the hell do you think he'd do against Trump? Trump should wipe the floor. Trump would wipe the floor with him if you have info. I should know or consider about my candidates. Please let me know. The more information, the better. Critique them all you want. I am free to agree or disagree. I have a mind, and I'm not afraid to use it. I agree completely, and the primary is the only place where we can get a chance to vote for the candidate who best represents the progressive values of most Americans. For that, this is from Jackie now, from Jackie. For that reason, Joe is not among my top choices. He would only get my vote if he were to win the nomination. Before I come to you, Larry, I have another call I want to pick up. Let's see, another Skype caller. Come on in, Skype number 2. Come on in, Skype.
Well, unfortunately, you got me again, and I didn't hang up. By the way, somehow your line blanked out on me twice.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, well, there are 2 Skype calls on. Let me, Larry. I tell you what. Hold on a second. Let me see if that other call is you or somebody else. Hold on. All right, let's go to Skype number 2, and let's see if that is somebody else other than Brother Larry. Skype number 2, or is that you again, Larry? Okay, Skype. This is a Skype call. Come on in. If you're holding, come on in. All right, if you don't come on in on this one, I'll hang that one up. Okay, let's go now. This one I think is Johnny. I'm coming to you after this because you got a chance to talk. Let's give Johnny a chance to talk. Come on in, Johnny.
Hey, what's up, Berto? How are you today?
I am doing fine. Talk to me.
Hello?
Yes, sir. Talk to me.
Excellent. First, I'd like to say that we have a great tradition in this country of supporting women and women being activists, and I would just point to people like Fannie Lou Hamer, and I would also, or should I say Fannie Lou Hamer, and Ella Baker would be perfect examples of that. And in that tradition of the grassroots woman rising up from the bottom to represent the best of our progressive values, I have to point to Marianne Williamson. Don't get me wrong, I understand everybody loves Elizabeth Warren. She's got a great track record. She's been progressive on a lot of different issues. But this Marianne Williamson woman deserves a little bit of love during the primary season. I know this sounds a little bit odd, but I'm going to go even further than you. Not only can we elect a woman, we could choose a woman like Marianne Williamson who did like Trump, kind of came out of nowhere, came out of left field, so to say. And I feel like America, we've actually reached that level where we could do something like that. We've proven that we have the ability to do that. Now, I'm not saying we will, because obviously there are some serious financial institutions that you will have to do battle with to get a woman like Marianne Williamson
Well,
from the earth, so to say.
May I interrupt
to
you a
the
second?
sun.
May I interrupt you a second? Let me interrupt you a second, please. I mean, I think it's sort of cute for saying, okay, if we could have a Trump, we could have a Marianne Wilson or Williams. But here's the problem, in my humble opinion. In my humble opinion, the problem is this: we don't need. Trump was a disaster. Trump came in there and did some crazy things, and I think we don't need another person that doesn't really understand the machinations of government to do it, in my humble opinion, okay? And I think Williamson...
We need a pro? Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think Williamson is... Williams, I think she's a wonderful person. Not only that, she's a great motivational speaker. I love to listen to her. And not only that, I love that she came straight out and gave... Let me tell you what I liked about her. As a white woman... coming out and yes, Larry, I'm doing identity here because this you have to hear the whole story. It is so important for the voices of reparations to be that you can see that it's understood through somebody like her. And when she comes out and says maybe $500 billion because that may be politically feasible, but if you really were to add up what the lost property and wealth is, it's in the trillions. When you have somebody like her say that, people either think she's a kook or people start to say, wow, I never thought about it this way. And all the reports that I saw was mostly, I never thought about that before. So I give her kudos for that. Go ahead, Johnny. Sorry for interrupting you.
Well, no, and that's my point, in that I love the fact that we have this tradition in this country of women rising up from the quote-unquote earth,
yes,
and going all the way to the sun. And so, like I said, I pointed to people like, Sojourner Truth,
right,
Fannie Lou Hamer, and of course Ella Baker. And I think that really my question for Elizabeth Warren...
Describe those three women, because I can never remember
that.
what each of those women is. So give me a one line for each of those women.
Fannie Lou Hamer, we're talking about just the ultimate activist.
Right.
Started off with the farm movement and go from from a farm movement to a workers' movement to, yes. And then you have a woman like Ella Baker, who's from the Northeast. Here's a woman that was kind of doing the same kind of grassroots stuff, but only in Harlem and in Brooklyn.
Right.
So again, this idea that we have women that represent two different diasporas, one from the country, one from the city, but each of them having a sense of who they are, coming up from the primordial soup that is America, the best of America, the best ideas, the best concepts, and and as much as I love Elizabeth Warren, I feel like she is in that tradition a little bit, because here's a woman that was like, you know what, I can't find good babysitters, so let me go to law school. You know what I mean? Because, my jobs aren't working out because the guys are getting mad at me because I take days off to watch my kids, so they ended up firing her. Right. So she ended up going to law school just because it was easier to take care of her kids going to law school. And that's a beautiful American story.
Right.
And the fact of the matter is that she gets in position and she does a great job. She's doing a great job as a senator. So she's a great candidate. But my only problem is with Herberto, and this is it's a mechanical issue, is I don't know how well she'll be able to do with a Mitch McConnell blocking everything from her.
Let me tell you two things.
I feel like if you're going to have...
Let me tell you two things, okay? I think if we win, I think my honest feeling about this election, I'm starting to... And I usually get some vibes. I don't know if my vibes are going to be right this time again, but my vibes are telling me we are going to have two things. We're going to have either Donald Trump win it all, or we are going to win so damn big that even the Senate is gone. And the reason I'm saying that, right?
Yeah.
And let me tell you why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
You know who came out against Donald Trump and says that the Republican Party better do something? Scaramucci. Scaramucci came out today and said, you know what? The party needs to get rid of Trump. And I know a lot of Trumpists are going to be like, oh, well, he just pissed off because Donald Trump said this. But when you start to see a defection from the Scaramucci guy,
Yes, from the Scaramucci, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I am thinking...
And I don't disagree.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I agree with you, because, that's the kind of, he's an Italian that went to Harvard, so he represents something a little bit different in America. He represents both the working class mentality, but also the elite upper class. So he's kind of one of those dual guys.
Right.
But the thing is, you're absolutely right. But the one thing that I think, one of the fissures that's shaking around Trump is that before he had the open embrace of the NRA, and now I don't know why, Berto, but I feel like never before in the history of this country did we really talk about putting in real serious gun regulations. I think the American people are almost ready for this. And I think that's the fault of the NRA for not doing anything about any of this stuff. And I think that's going to come back to bite him in the ass.
You think so, huh?
Because in the end,
a
little bit. And the other thing I would just one more thing, I just want to say, like, how much in play is Texas?
Texas
Does
is in
Elizabeth
play.
Warren put Texas in play?
Yes. Yes.
Because if she does, then maybe.
I think I put it this way. I think every single candidate put Texas in play. Let me put you on hold because I'm hearing some noise, and I'm going to throw on Larry to make his comment. Come on in, Larry.
Okay, man. Oh, I love this. This is great. Really, it really is. Look, first of all, I got a question for you, and it's only a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it.
Yes.
Do I have to agree with Marianne Williamson because she's a white woman? Sounds suspiciously racist to me.
No.
And look, when you talk about
Larry, hold on. I want to address that because you make up a good point. There are two ways to take the statement that I said there, and it's important the way that you articulated it, right? And let me articulate it for you this way. There is something, and look, you may be one of the most altruistic people. You may be the person that doesn't judge a person's words based on who the words are coming out of. There are a lot of Americans, and I've been doing radio for a very damn long time, okay? And I've had folks where I've said, I've gotten a white guest on, and I've said, I would like that out of your mouth because what it does coming out of your mouth is for some people in America, it is taken differently. I think race is stupid, but I live in a racial world. I live in a United States who gives a lot of importance to race, and I'm not going to be ignorant about it. Now you, again, like I said, I believe you. When you look at me and you say, well, I am not particularly concerned of those particular issues, etc., I believe you. I'm going to take you at face value. But not all Americans are like you, brother. Anyway, continue.
Well, look, I don't want you to misunderstand me. I used to be exactly like that. For me, race was everything. But the day I decided to abandon such a specious position was the day my life got better.
Good.
Because I took information and advice from people of all backgrounds and races and culled the best of it and made my life better.
I'm going to tell you again, Larry, I'm going to stop you.
Better.
Larry, I'm going to stop you again. And here's why I'm going to stop you again. I want you then to do something special. And the special thing that I want you to do is you just told me that you have overcome the prejudice because you also used to think that way. I want you to make that your goal to get to other people because you have to be cognizant that is how a lot of people are because that's how you were. Correct?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. You do not judge people on the basis of immutable characteristics, either for good or for bad.
Good.
You judge them on character, belief, conduct. That's what you judge them on.
Good.
Individual worth.
Well, then we are
So
on.
look. So that's why, in that vein, I'm going to bring up the fact that I sincerely do not believe you did or would have supported Sarah Palin for either vice president or president, even a GOP establishment moderate like Condi Rice. I know you wouldn't support one of the most brilliant women in American culture and politics, Phyllis Schlafly. The woman was absolutely brilliant. I would have supported for president as she wanted to run in a heartbeat. Or Michelle Malkin, or Candace Owens, or Star Parker, or Marsha Blackburn. You wouldn't support any of those people. Why?
No, I would not.
Because they don't believe the way you think that they should.
Well, because I think they are clear.
And that's perfectly understandable. You shouldn't. If they don't comport with your belief system, politically or otherwise, you shouldn't vote for them.
Right.
That's why I never vote for Hillary Clinton.
Good.
That's why I never vote for Kamala Harris, or Elizabeth Warren, or even Tulsi Gabbard. None of them. I think they're all potentially destructive to this country. And one more thing. You knocked the patriarchy, I noticed, and you're making a big thing. And naturally, being the fact that progressives and Marxists are in a dialectical materialism and class struggle to achieve progress, I get it. I know why. But patriarchy,
Okay, tell me why, tell me why,
whether
tell me
we
why,
want
tell me
to
why.
admit it or not, given we're in the 21st century now, is an almost universal social construct, if you will.
I don't get it.
Why is it long before the United States was ever formed, long before biblical times, almost every single culture was, and even to this day, still a patriarchy? There's a reason for it.
Please tell me.
There is a natural element of human nature that comports with it.
Uh-huh.
Whether we like, because women have to have children. Women do not have the same sort of inclination to defend and protect that men do. They just don't. Let's not pretend that they do.
Okay.
Not even ability, for that matter.
Let me tell you
There's
something.
a reason why we had the patriarchy. It isn't a social construct, purely a social construct done by capitalists to exploit the working man
Okay,
and woman.
now that you've exploded on that, so I thought you thought that Thatcher was a great leader of one of the
Yes,
most
I
powerful
think he was a great leader, yes.
So don't you think that, so doesn't that go against your thought that patriarchy
No,
is,
I didn't say a woman could not be a great political leader in the modern era. Well, now that we have means other than we had to have men standing in phalanxes using muscle-powered weapons against other men. In today's, yes, it is possible. Queen Elizabeth was a great ruler, sovereign for Great Britain, even though, of course, I reject the divine rights of kings thing. But as far as being a monarch, she was one of the better ones England ever had. So, I mean, throughout history, women have shown they can be great political leaders. I'm not saying a woman cannot be. I'm simply saying the kind of women that are being held up to me to be extolled, the ones I'm supposed to support and want to vote for, are not the kind of people, period, men or women. I feel the same way about Bernie Sanders and Cory Booker. Same way about them, too. They're not the kind of people I want to see at the levers of power.
Good. Okay, but now
But I would love to see, like I said, Michelle Malkin, somebody like her, Phyllis Schlafly, or a whole bunch of other women over many, many men.
and that and that's fine
for that
because
matter.
that you're right winger and that's who I would expect you to be comfortable with. And I think that is okay. I think what we have to do, brother, is the following, right? Is accept that those are the people that you have a tendency to feel close to. I feel closer to people who are on the left. I feel closer to people who want to be more benevolent with other people. You feel,
Isn't that more important?
yeah. Oh, wait. You feel more comfortable with those that believe in a more individualistic notion. That's fine. It really is okay. What we have to work on, however, is how do we work together because we must. Because I'm never going to believe like you. But here it is. You are on my show, the likely one of the most progressive shows on the planet because I'm a lefty. And you're enjoying yourself, aren't you?
For sure.
You're enjoying yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, I do.
That's my point.
I really do enjoy the exchange of ideas.
That's my
I really
point.
Do. It's like
And-
Winston
but-
Churchill said.
but hey-
Winston Churchill, he said it best. It's better to jaw than war.
Exactly. And here's the deal.
I really
also.
want to have an interchange of ideas. Ideas are important to me. Concepts are important to me.
And Larry-
That's why I love the United States.
Amen.
It's the first nation in the history of mankind, a major nation, founded on proposition.
Okay, stop right there.
First.
Stop right there. We, for those folks that are listening to us, we have just established something, okay? And here's what we've established. If a right winger becomes a listener, if a left winger becomes a listener, they can really see where, just like how you listened to me when I said I don't believe in the Constitution because it was made by a few men, you understood where I was coming from. You don't necessarily agree that I came to the right outcome, but you understood where I was coming from. I didn't try to hide it from you.
Absolutely. You made it clear as a bell.
And I understand where you are coming from. What I'm saying, though, is you and I'm not leaving America, and you're not leaving America. We're going to stay in this country, and we're going to live together. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, Larry, I'm going to give you that, and you're going to have to give me something. Because you're not going to take that AK-47 that you have, or whatever the hell it is that you have, and use it against me. I know you're not going to do that because you're sane. Am I correct?
Of course not, unless, of course, you pose an imminent, deadly physical threat to me and my nation.
Okay, yeah.
If you don't do that, then no, I never do that.
And that's my point. And here's the deal. You and I are two individual citizens that can do this. Why the hell can't our politicians do it? Where they are the ones at the top of power. And don't tell me that it's the liberal one or the right-wing one. You have to be able to do it.
When it comes to pure demagoguery, I got to give it to the left.
And you said stop. I got to give it to the right.
Traitor and an agent of the Soviet Union with not a shred of evidence. That to me, sir, is demagoguery.
Stop it, because you're there. I'm going to tell you, brother, you're absolutely wrong. But I got to leave, man. I got to let you go because I got to finish up this show. I appreciate you calling in, and you keep calling, brother. I
enjoyed it again very much.
All right, you take care, brother. Bye-bye.
All right, you too.
All right, folks, before I go any further, it's 10. I only have 9 more minutes left. And as usual, I get all these great callers calling in, and I haven't said, guys, please do remember that this is a progressive show that needs your support. Please go ahead and go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Why do you want to go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright? To support progressive media, to support a program that's going to be able to talk to a Larry. And as much as we are progressive together, but we got to talk to him as well, because he's the guy that's going to stop that other AK-47 nut from performing. Larry, hey, don't forget, Larry, we expect you to do your job now. But anyhow, so please go ahead and go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Support progressive media. Anybody who subscribed to the show, they get, as I see it, Class Warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. My book, you can read it online. And every book that I write, you can read online. I'm currently working on the book called How to Make America Utopia. How to Make America Utopia. Take away the economy from those who rigged it. And I'm on chapter 4. I'm still on chapter 4. 1, 2, and 3 are written. I got some typos that I heard has to be fixed in a few of those chapters. So please go ahead and become a member of Politics Done Right. Remember, I told you guys about my scare where I almost blood pressure 240 over 140. I changed my life. In order to help this show as well, I decided, you know what, I'm going to write a book and then push the book on my show so that I can help support the show. Lose weight and be fit now. Say no to snake oil weight loss. Say no to snake oil weight loss. So, folks, please support the program. We need all that you can offer. And remember else, hey, guess what? Cups, Politics Done Right. Go to store.politicsdoneright.com. Store.politicsdoneright.com. Why do you want the cup? So that you can remember Politics Done Right. And since, let's see, should I do this? No, I was going to show you the new T-shirts that we have that says, Politics Done Right. But you know what? I tell you what I'm going to show you is something else, though. I'm going to show you something else, because this one, I think I have it on the screen. So take a look at this one. This one, I should have put this stuff up in honor of the show, right? Because this is the new T-shirt that I'm shipping. This is the new T-shirt that I'm shipping. Don't fail me now. Here we go. Here we go. And let me see if I can get it big enough so you can read what it says. All right. That is, and check that out. That is a new T-shirt that is shipping. It says, a woman has already won the U.S. presidency and one will again. And our logo, the Politics Done Right logo, is on the left shoulder along with that word. So you wear that T-shirt and you go ahead and remind all the women that you're coming in touch with that don't fear, because remember, a woman has already won. So anyhow, folks, please again go to patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Again, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Support us, support the show. Let folks know that you mean when you talk about you want progressive values, when you talk about you want us to be able to get the message out, when you talk about all these things, let people know that you're going to put your bucks where your mouth is, that you are going to really support what needs supporting. It's essential that we do this. Folks, anyhow, so there are a lot of other topics that I wanted to bring on today, but when I have Larry on or Johnny on or any, sometimes Tom or all these guys are great. Kathleen gave a great piece on the show last week that I just had to cut out and put it as a standalone because she hit it out of the park, and that thing was that particular piece was admired by so many people. I mean, we have, like I talk about, the best listeners the best watchers, the best subscribers, the best donors, the best everything on the planet. Because to sit back and listen to a truth that necessarily given to you on mainstream media, it means that you are willing to open your mind. And those of you that are donors and subscribers and purchasers of our products, it means that you're saying, yeah, I want to make sure that other people hear the message. Like I tell people, you don't ever have to take what I talk about at face value. When I tell you about Trump, when I talk about women issues, when I talk about all these issues, you never have to take me at face value, because I'm open to say, please look up what I've spoken about. Look it up. If you find something that is different, bring it on air. I'll put you on air for you to discuss it. A lot of times what you find in writing is wrong. And once we can prove that, it's generally okay. So folks, please support us at patreon.com/politicsdoneright. You can just go to politicsdoneright.com. Go to politicsdoneright.com, and it gives you all the different options you have to support our program. It is in dire need of your support. So we appreciate you so kindly for being here every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And remember, we send out the newsletter after each show about the show. And on, I think it's Sundays, we send out a list of all the blogs that we've written for that week. That is our new schedule. So please go ahead and go to egbertowillies.com or politicsdoneright.com and sign up for our newsletter. You don't have to read it every time. Just don't put it in spam folder. Go ahead, and we have good stuff on there. And, I have a thought of the day that I put out there and all of that. I still owe you guys a song with my guitar and with my keyboards. I started to work on it the other night, and I said, you know what? I want to give them a better product. But I'm going to give you a little teaser of the background that I'm having here. Or maybe, let me give you a teaser of the background that I'm thinking about. This is the background that I was thinking about doing, because when I give you guys a little sing-song with a little bit of what's going on in the politics, you're going to say, oh, really? Are you serious about that, Egberto? Yes. So that is the background that we're going to be talking about when we do the thing. But anyhow, folks, my name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. What? Let me put this little thing up. I am what? Out!
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is the progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. Remember, you can also send me a tweet to EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.
1, 2, 3.